Okay, for this video, we are going to talk about cross-section. And to save some time, I went ahead and I created a spline. And you can see the first one right here. There's the first one. And I went ahead and did it using corners for now, just so make it easier. You can convert these vertices to, right, once you've selected them, right click on them. You can convert them to Bezier corner, Bezier, and smooth. Most people like working with the Beziers. I like working with smooth. It's just your personal preference. You do have more control over the Beziers, but I find they also are sometimes easier to mess up in the beginning. But for now, we're just going to work with corners, and I'll make a third video working with softer ones. Okay, so what I did was I copied this out, and then I modified all these other ones, and I did that on purpose. Okay. Some people like to copy them out and connect them and then make modifications, but I find that you look over here, this looks more like the shape I want to work with. And if I had a drawing that I was working around, I would use that to locate and create these first. Now, this is like ribs. Now, I'm an architect, so I think about things in terms of structure. And if you think about the characters we create, they have a structure underneath them that evolved to keep them from being puddles of goo on the floor. Because if you take away your skeleton, you're going to be a pile of goo, organs and skin and fluids laying on the floor, right? So it is our skeleton that keeps us upright and allows us to have structure. And so this is how the splines work in spline cage modeling, the exact same way as a structure works. In a building, it would be columns and beams. In this case, it's ribs. Okay, so I laid this out sort of like they're ribs. Now, the first thing I need to do to be able to connect them and cover them with a surface is to attach them. I'm going to start by on spline. Okay, right, I've expanded my line. I'm on my Modify tab, expanded line, spline, and I've selected the first one with my Select and Modify tool. Okay, so I've got it selected. I need to attach multiples, and you can select them all. Of course, hold down Shift. Can't see my keyboard. Attach, and now they are all one object. And this is the same thing as attaching anything with polygon modeling. Spline modeling is similar in the sense that you have to attach it before you can bridge it. Or in our case, instead of bridge, we're going to cross-section. Okay, so now I'm going to make sure I've selected my first one, hit cross-section, select it again, and then select each subsequent one in order, and right-click when you're done. And you see I have now created a cage. Okay, so when I apply, let's go back to the main object here. When I apply my surface modifier now, oops, S, keep going, there we go. You see that it has covered this whole object, and if I render this out, now, let me change the color, it's hard to see much nuance when it's flat like that. You see I have that shape now that has covered my structure. And by defining my structure well to begin with, the surface modifier can come on here and really define that shape, much in the same way if you think about, if you look at your rib cage with your ribs underneath it, it has that, the skin follows your structure. So think, if you do a great job of setting up your structure with this, your surfaces work and apply so much better. Now, once you've created this and have set this up, you can convert it to an editable poly and work with it further. You can also, you know, as we've done here with our symmetry, there we go. Okay, it closed it off for me. and then turbo smooth. And now we have a object that's two-sided, and it looks more, and we're going to want to do things like this. These you know, these points are not always perfect, and we may want to work with that so that when you're creating this, here's something to post-mortem. When you're creating this, maybe have created, maybe the edge needed to have curved in a little bit more. Now, if I rotate this, like this is a character, or the body of a character, and it kind of does sort of kind of look like one. We're starting to get to something that looks like an object, or a character, a body. And would look better, obviously, if I had models in it. Let's increase my iterations of my turbo smooth. Okay. So this is rough because we worked with corners. So when we analyze this and we look at what we could have done better, and the second time I do this would be much better. Okay. So this is the start, and you see it was easier for me, I think. It's easier to work with cross sections than it is to do the refine and connect. But practice both, figure out what you prefer, and then really hone that skill. And the more you work with it, the more complicated and more complex you can create your characters. And I'll share with you guys in Blackboard previous students' work of using this, so that you can see how, once you get good at it, how you can begin to really develop this. And a lot of people really like it. Okay? Let me know if you have any questions.